we can't say enough about tobacco and smoking and the effects of tobacco and smoking on humans. We do have a very wide phenomenon here of smokers here in Egypt and all around the world. Today we are going to be talking about the effects of smoking and how it could lead to tragic death or even tragic disease such as cancer. Today we are joined by Dr. Mohamed Shaalan, who is a professor of surgery at the National Cancer Institute, and we're going to talk about more details about smoking, how it affects our bodies, and how we can get over the addiction to smoking. Good morning, sir. How
Good morning.
Doctor, even though people on earth now, no one doesn't know anything about the risks and how smoking can harm human beings in general, whether directly or indirectly, yet number of smokers increase day after the other. Not only talking about old, even children now are smoking, and this is more dangerous.
Very true.
And even now we have more risks when it comes to disease. Things changed. We can see these diseases. In the past we didn't see it as much as we can see it today. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, tobacco is the only product that human beings buy to kill at least 30 to 50% of the buyers. So tobacco is killed 100 million people in the last century, and if we don't do anything about it, or we don't stop young people from joining being smokers, and if we don't stop smokers from smoking and help them quit, we'll have 1 billion deaths from tobacco during this century. We have 100,000 cancer cases, new cancer cases every year in Egypt. A big percentage of them can be prevented by, number one, preventing smoking. If you prevent smoking, you can prevent a lot of deaths. At least 50% of adults, grown-ups, smoke, which is really alarming.
Catastrophe.
15% of school children under the age of 15 smoke.
Wow.
Which is a big percentage too.
It's a very unfortunate phenomenon, though. I mean,
it's a disaster. It's a disaster. We are seeing more and more smokers. We have a lot of myths and misconceptions in the community about smoking. They tell you shisha is not harmful. Somebody will tell you, I quit smoking, but I started to smoke shisha. This is totally wrong. One shisha is equivalent to smoking 100 cigarettes.
Oh, wow.
So the myth that shisha is not harmful because the smoke is filtered through water, all that is nonsense.
They believe that just a change the tube, it is not going to harm them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wrong conceptions in the community.
So this is not true even?
No. No, it's not true at all. And as I told you, it's if we don't do something about it, we are going to have 1 billion deaths in the coming century. And as you said, if people know that smoking is harmful, smoking causes a lot of diseases, cancer is on the top of them, heart diseases, respiratory problems, strokes, in addition to hundreds of other diseases, but these are the main 4 big ones. So people know that, but they don't do anything about it. And if you know that in a way cancer is preventable. 1/3 of smokers will die of disease related to their smoking, either cancer, respiratory problems, or heart problems and stroke. So this is one thing we can do. We can prevent cancer by preventing smoking. A smoker loses 5 years at least of his life, of his valuable life. Smokers spend 5 to 10% of their income on smoking. And they deprive their families, their children, from getting good nutrition, good education maybe, because they spend 10% of their...
And what about those smokers that start at a very young age? Like you said, I mean, 15% of smokers are of 15 or younger, 15 years or younger.
15% of school children are smokers.
Oh, that's even worse. How do you analyze this, and how do you kind of, if you could elaborate on the dangers and the risks and how worse it is to start smoking at that young age?
Yep. You know, smoking at the young age is the route to addiction. When you smoke at a young age, it's easy to go into other illegal stuff. If you don't smoke, it's much more difficult to go into addiction. This is one thing. The other thing is that we have to do something about children changing into smokers. How can we do that? We can have in the schools, we have to make some awareness about dangers of smoking. We have to change the syllabus at schools or add something about smoking. We have to really create a culture that is against smoking, not against smokers, but against smoking. We have to have a culture that if they see a child smoking, they'll talk to him, they'll tell him, they'll advise him not to smoke. But in our culture, it really doesn't matter. You see a young kid smoking and nobody talks, nobody says anything. Now children can go to kiosks and buy cigarettes, which is illegal. If you, in the States or in Europe, you have to show your ID if you want to buy cigarettes. But here we don't do that. It's easier. It's much easier. Not only smoking, we have to talk about passive smoking or second-hand smoking.
This is what I wanted to ask about, because if the person or the smoker is going to harm himself, okay, this is his own problem, but the idea he is making or causing a lot of problems also to all members of his family if he's not scared about his life. What about his children, his kids, his wife, all members at house, not only at house, but of course his colleagues, wherever he is standing in. And even nowadays we can see some people, they are smoking in lifts, for example, which is incredible, you know. It's unbelievable, because this, of course, you can never tell who is with you inside the lift and how far you can harm him, for example.
Yeah, this is very true. Second-hand smoking is a problem, especially in Egypt.
Is it right that it is more than the smoker himself? He can be affected?
It's not more, but it is nearly as bad as the smoker himself.
I think the whole population in Egypt could be considered as second-hand smoking.
Exactly. You know, when you know
because
that
of the environment and the fumes and everything.
Smokers, then the other 50% will be affected by second-hand smoking. In surveys done in Egypt, if you don't smoke but you work in a workplace where others smoke, after 8 hours it is as if you smoked 10 cigarettes. Wow. So people do not know that. People think that if they don't smoke, then they are safe. It's not true. If you don't smoke but you live with somebody who smokes, or you work with somebody who smokes, then you are affected. If you live or work with somebody who smokes, you have a 30% more chance of getting heart attacks and 20% more chance of getting lung cancer, which is also very alarming. The people should know that they should tell, it's the right to protect themselves and their children from smoking. And in a survey we found that children in families who smoke, they are at a much higher, they have a much higher chance of going to the emergency room for respiratory problems or asthma or stuff like that. It increases the probability of getting leukemias, lymphomas, brain tumors in children living in homes that smoke.